Welcome back to Couch Critic. Dennis P. Sat here back on my couch. I'm still on tour as a matter of fact, but we're taking the next couple of days off, and then we got Montreal and then Buffalo coming up before it's actually officially over. But I decided to take this time out to do a quick review of the Chelsea versus Man United FA Cup match. And before I get into that, could you please do me a favor and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button to keep up with the latest and the newest. Okay, let's get right into it. Chelsea versus Man United at Stamford Bridge, a game that finished 2-0 to Man United in the FA Cup with goal scorers Herrera and Paul Pogba. And again, not much to talk about outside of the fact that Chelsea just looked toothless up front once again. United looked good, obviously. They've been looking good under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the last little while. And it came to the fore again. They just basically sat back and waited for us to make mistakes on the ball, which we did multiple times, and were punished for it for the 2 goals. Unfortunately, once again, I thought Chelsea made the game very easy for United to defend. They didn't get into the dangerous areas of the pitch. The fullback play was just horrendous all game. We could not get any sort of like accurate crosses in. We could not get accurate overlaps. We proposed no threat out wide. And for the most part, all we saw was Hazard trying to basically orchestrate the offense on his own with no real support from anyone outside of maybe Jorginho and maybe Kovacic, but outside of that, we didn't see much more. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to focus on the fullback play, which I thought was horrendous today. I thought both Alonso and Azpilicueta had very, very poor games, and it showed in the final score. In particular, Alonso, who I thought had a poor game and was at fault for both goals. His lack of defensive awareness and his lack of pace, catch-up speed were both exposed for both the goals today. The first goal, he just did not read, did not read at all Herrera's run and let him in behind him, and then the header went in there. And once again, he was found out for the second goal for lack of pace. I believe Rashford got in behind him off of a throw-in and forced Luis to come over to help defend. By that time, our defense is completely pulled out of shape. 2 defenders on one trying to catch up, the other guy just leaving gaps of space, and David Luis. And then comes Pogba, and it's 2-0, game over. And for all the things we can place blame squarely on the shoulders of the manager for, this Alonso on the left flank thing is the one I take the most offense with, mainly because of the shape that we're playing and what attributes he does possess. I mean, he's not very quick, so when we play that high line, we're pressed up, teams have been bombing down that flank and just getting in behind him. And one of 3 things happens. Either they get a goal scoring opportunity, he fouls and is yellow carded and is a caution away from being sent off, or David Luis comes over and over aggressively plays for the ball, and either we get played in or he cleans it up, which is you never know what you're gonna get from David Luis. But this incessant demand of playing Alonso on that left flank when he provides absolutely nothing going forward other than maybe an aerial ball here and there, or anything going backwards where he is a liability in defense, it's just becoming so glaringly obvious that he is a sore spot in this team, both going forward and going back. And truly, it's almost an indictment on Emerson. Like, if he really can't get into this team, what does that say about him as a player? I've only seen evidence of Alonso being extremely poor this year. There's been very few games that I've seen him where he's actually looked like the left back that we had even 2 years ago under Antonio Conte. He's completely different. And granted, yes, he's not playing the exact same position that he did last year, but at the same time, everything that he did do well last year is still at play here. He's still playing very high up the pitch. He can still get into the box. He can still strike the ball. He can still do all the things that he can do under Antonio Conte, but he's just being exposed time and time again. And it begs question, if Sarri can't see that Alonso is a complete liability on that left flank, then what is it that he's seeing that is allowing him to play week after week after week? If that is the case, what is it that this manager is actually evaluating these guys on? And is he the right manager for this job at this point? Because it's so glaringly obvious to me that Alonso just does not have the ability to play this position in this system. We need somebody with pace, we need somebody with technique, we need somebody with some sort of defensive acumen, and he just possesses none of that. And on the other side of the pitch, you have Cesar Azpilicueta, who is clearly the better defender of the 2, but has his problems going forward as well. Not very good at getting to the byline, not very good at using his technique, and a very safe passer, doesn't really try to make that incisive pass to break the defense down. And probably only marginally faster than Alonso on the left flank. So we have 2 fullbacks who we want to be attack-minded, who can't run, who can't put in crosses, and are average at best with their technical ability playing the flanks for us. week in, week out. But again, all of this is just still coming back to the manager for me, because what we're seeing right now is a slow, languid football. Mainly that is, for me, down to lack of rotation. I mean, how many times are we going to have to see Alonso, Azpilicueta, Kovacic, Conte, like the exact same setup week after week after week, regardless of the fact that he's already said that we lack motivation? If the manager recognizes that this team lacks motivation and continually trots out the same players week after week, then he has to be at fault for that, because he's not giving the other players a chance to show that they are motivated and ready to play these big matches. At the same time, the same mentality is being permeated throughout the squad. The squad is clearly jaded. We don't have any sort of leadership on the pitch. We don't have goals. We don't have the ability to break teams down anymore. So what do you do? Everyone keeps crying for this plan B. What can we do as a plan B? How can we shake this thing up? I just don't see it. I just don't think we have the players right now to do the things that we're asked of them. And it's probably the most frustrating aspect of this transition right now. We just don't have the same sort of like quality that we did for the last 15 years. Chelsea's hallmark for so many years has been like their power, their pace, their will to win, and like the fight that they had. And I think that's the most disheartening part about this whole transitional football that we're playing right now. The fact that supporters, and myself, to be honest, recognize what this team used to be over the last 15 years, this powerful team that were very hard to break down. And now we're becoming so soft and easy to play through, and like there's just no fight in the team. And it's just not what Chelsea were built on. Like the 15 years where we were winning trophies year after year, even last year we had a little bit more bite to our football, and right now it just looks very paper thin. And teams like Arsenal are coming and running over us. You're watching a team that is so built their brand, their foundation on power, organization, looks so lost out there and like soft. The list goes on and on. The ethos of this team is changing. The culture of this team is changing. And right now, there's so much turmoil around the club, whether it be on the pitch, off the pitch, or in the terraces, that it's become very toxic and very hard to discern whether or not we should just go back to our old ways, or whether or not this is the way forward to get out of the mire. But for me, the last thing I want to see is more upheaval and more change. I think that right now we're seeing a wind that's blowing in all sorts of different directions, and it's not stirring, it does nothing but stir up the skies. We need something that's a little bit more consistent, blowing in the same direction before we can actually force through a change. And right now, Maurizio Sarri, he has his ideas, he has his way of doing things. He doesn't necessarily have the squad to implement it properly. And anyone else that comes in right now is going to be facing the exact same problems as far as I'm concerned. We've been breastfed on short-termism, and right now that needs to change. I'm a firm believer of that. This manager has only come in the very late stages of the summer, very late stages of the World Cup. We weren't getting a lot of our players back, and he really hasn't had a full training camp to get his squad playing the way he wants to see them play. Couple that with the fact that we have a bunch of aging players who just are basically set in their ways and don't know how to transition from this, defensive counter-attacking football to a more possession-based, attacking-minded football, then you can understand where the problems lie. But sacking the manager at this point is not going to solve anything. I'm a firm believer of that. I just think that all it's going to do is just stir up more controversy and show that Chelsea have no patience for anyone. And who wants to come here under those pretenses, knowing that like after 6 months you're being sacked because you lost in the FA Cup, you're still alive in Europa League, you're still alive in the Carling Cup or whatever, and you're just 1 point out of fourth. So it just makes no sense to me. Let the season ride out, see where we end there, and then you make that evaluation. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Very disappointing. Chelsea lose at home to Man United in the FA Cup. But on the bright side, we have one less competition to worry about, and hopefully we can get this squad playing the right sort of football again very shortly, because the games are coming thick and fast once again. We have Tottenham coming up, we have City in the League Cup final, and of course we still have that Europa League game at Malmo. So there's lots coming, lots happening, and hopefully we can just keep our level heads and see through, stomach through this transition, and hopefully by the end of it we'll start seeing the benefits of patience and commitment to a style of football that may not look as attractive as we'd like it to look now, but given time and investment might turn into something that we all enjoy watching and are reaping the benefits of. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that like button, that subscribe button, that bell notification, And I'm going to try and do the next game, which I think is Tottenham, if I'm not mistaken, while I'm on the road. And if not, then you will see me. I'll be back in March, and you'll see me do the regular post-match reviews that I've been doing all this year again. But until then, like I said, keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chelsea.